What is up guys, Jack here, just some random guy wanting to share some theories about Hideo Kojima's what is it? Like what is Death Stranding? Now it seemed to be a post-apocalyptic game centered around survival with like new weird elements, Lovecraftian kaijus, Time Lords, psychic babies, Hannibal and Daryl Dixon. Come to think of it, that's actually a pretty good summarization. But really though, whether or not you are a fan of Hideo Kojima's work, the Metal Gear franchise, whatever that he did in the past, just the amount of intrigue that this game, or trailers of these games, have been sparking should be enough to get you interested in this. So the whole question right now is, what the hell is it about? Because the best way of describing this right now is by calling it an enigma. Because we've had like six trailers, like 4 official ones, one from the Tokyo Game Show, another one from the Game Awards as well, and oh no, the Japanese one, that's the 6th. But still, we do not understand what it's fully about. We can only truly theorize. Because think about this. In 2010, Roger Ebert, a movie critic, stated that video games could never be art. And of course he was wrong. He did later on apologize for judging a medium that he had never dabbled in. And over the years we've seen a lot of major video games that truly did change this. And some of my favorites would be something like The Last of Us, God of War recently, The Witcher 3, even some simple games like the Stanley Parable. Like simple, not necessarily visually stunning games, which this one seems to be, but just by a simple concept. Now, as somebody who studies physics and all that, everything that has to do with sci-fi to some extent will always get me excited if it is handled well, and this is very much what it seems to be in this case. So in this video, like I have done in some previous ones, I am going to be diving through some theories of mine regarding Death Stranding, especially with the recent trailer that has been shown. So without further ado guys, let's jump right into it. The trailer begins with the baby, as usual. However, this time we get through its esophagus. Yeah, quite unsettling, like some weird anatomical inception. It is down there that we are introduced to Mads Mikkelsen's character. His name is Cliff, as we later on get to learn from the trailer. And judging from his appearance, he's not quite as evil as he was depicted in the previous trailers. Even better, he seemed to be willing to protect the baby, singing a lullaby to it, and rather caring for it. Now, these words that he keeps on saying are quite ominous. I mean, if he were to be my father or caretaker, I would be freaked the hell out. I mean, this is Hannibal we are talking about. Caecilius, I mean,
Who am I to judge?
well, judging from his attire and the way that he acts, this is probably a version of him from the events before the Death Stranding happened. Or what we like to call the third explosion. For you see, in some of the previous trailers, it was revealed that there is a certain concept regarding some explosions, especially the one in the Game Awards trailer.
Once there was an explosion. A bang which set a planet spinning in that space.
There are 4 of them. The initial one being the well-known one from your science classes, the one for everyone who of course does not deny the creation of the universe, that being the Big Bang. The second is the Cambrian explosion, the one that sprouted enough material, both organic and non-organic, on our planet and gave life to pretty much everything that we know today. Third came the unknown explosion, the one that created the situation within which the world finds itself to be, what we like to call the Death Stranding. Given that throughout all of the trailers there are a bunch of scientific equations on both necklaces and screens, it is fair to assume that humanity, or mankind by that point, was trying to achieve something, or perhaps solving a global crisis. But something, somewhere went awry, and created the explosion that we know today. Now there is a mention of a fourth explosion that is about to happen, or at least that is soon to happen, but we don't know anything about that yet.
Once there was an explosion. A bang which gave rise to life as we know it. And then came the next explosion. An explosion that will be our last.
But back to our trailer, given that we also are seeing things from the baby's perspective and it seemed to be looking through some glass, we can also assume that at that time the BB pod or the breach baby technology was already invented. Now this ability seemingly gives people the ability to peer through dimensions or spaces in between space. The one that we have been seeing all this time has actually been named, and very appropriately to Greek mythology, it is called Hades. Now this is not a concept that is totally new. We have seen this before. For those of you who have been watching my channel for some time, you might remember that I made a video regarding the Finland's Remedy Entertainment's Lynchian action-adventure epic Control. I talked about how they met with Kojima and his team, and also how there are concepts of interdimensional species peering into our world that are pretty similar. Remedy's director Sam Lake himself said that the game dared to push the boundaries. So in fact, if Alan Wake and Max Payne's writer tells you that, or make these claims, then we are in for one hell of a ride. But moving on to our main character Sam Porter Bridges. There's a picture of him with his mother and an unknown pregnant woman. And this is a picture that looks a lot more like a family photo, and it is shown to us right after the interaction between Cliff and the baby. Now, I'm going to assume that since this looks more like a family photography, this woman whose face has been erased might be a bit more connected to Cliff rather than Sam. And the baby might possibly be the one she's carrying. Now this of course should be taken with a grain of salt. By the way, the trailer is edited by Hideo Kojima himself, and the man is known for having a bit of a flair for the dramatic, so it might be putting us on false trails, but we can only deal with what we're shown. Speculations, everybody! So, there's Lindsay Wagner, who's playing Sam's mother, and she tells him through one part of the trailer that he can help them reconnect America, to make the country whole again. To which Sam replies,
"Sounds good, doesn't work."
Sam continues by making a neat reference to Snake Plissken from the John Carpenter Escape from New York by saying,
Bridget, you're the president of jack shit.
The president was on board.
President Wood,
That's not funny, Pliskin.
call me Snake.
This clearly characterizes Sam and tells us his view of the world as it currently is. Also to note, right after the Tokyo Game Show, it was confirmed, or rather revealed, that Sam was suffering of a condition known as hippophobia, the fear of touch. So both in the hypothetical and literal sense, Sam isn't really one to make connections, which makes his Amazon Prime delivery job even more interesting. Speaking of delivery, the company that Sam is working for is known as Bridges, which we have seen in several places in both his clothing, on badges, and to some extent on logos, like the symbols of the United States of America's flag. Bridget, Sam's mom, who is the leader of the United States, and subsequently also that of the organization, states that the future of mankind rests on their collective ability to work together. Furthermore, pushing the theory of individualism being the cause of the previous catastrophe, and Kojima's desire of wanting us, the Homo Ludens, to solve the game collectively. Which is weird, but trust me, it gets a lot weirder than this. Jumping forward into the next conversational section of the trailer, we learned more about the primary antagonist of the Death Stranding. They are known as Homo Demons. Not demons as I previously believed, but demons. And similarly to the previously shown man in the golden mask, who totally ruined my theory of Troy Baker's character being related to Sam, as I had this whole thought of the man in the iron mask, the old movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio, but whatever. They are donning some timefall resistance attire as well, and can seemingly control the damn thing. And for those of you who don't understand what timefall is,
The timefall fast forwards whatever it touches, but it can't wash everything away. The past just won't let go.
they are a bunch of extremists, and given that they all are wearing different attires, there seems to be a hierarchy amongst them. With Kakashi Sensei over here licking Lia Sedu's face, seemingly being the leader. He's known as Higgs, which, for the love of God, has to be a code name, because if it is actually his birth name, then I will say that his parents were a bunch of presumptuous a-holes. Well, the reason for that is that this is of course a reference to the Higgs boson, or more jokingly known as the God particle. So in other words, Creep Mac Lickitung over here has a God complex. And you guys really don't understand how irritating him having the name Higgs makes me. But this is something that I'm going to be reserving for another video. Moreover is the fact that there are attires inspired by ancient Egyptian customs, such as the mythology or the ancient traditions, like communing with the dead or the realm of the dead, or better known as the land of the Duat. For any of you who have played the game Assassin's Creed Origins, you will be familiar with this. And I'm also making this reference because every single time that the main character of that game, Bayek of Siwa, was seen entering that realm, there will be this weird black goo surrounding the area, like black water, which is something that we also have seen here in Death Stranding. Not to say that this is actually a thing, but you know, there's definitely something there. The land of the Duat is less of an afterlife and more of a limbo, where the dead are awaiting judgment from Anubis. Now, could it be that Higgs, this self-proclaimed god, or at least that is what we're assuming for now, is somebody who's utilizing not only the name of the particle that gives life to all the fermions and bosons, but also is acting like, say it, god of death, judging who is worth to let living or die. Now, aside from the ability to conjure timefall, they have been showcased to summon the dead in previous trailers, as well as that of creating voidouts, which is the phenomena that occurs when one of these creatures decides to go boom. It is also revealed in the trailer that the creatures in question are known as BTs.
Good thing it was raining. Even they know better than to mess with BTs.
What the B and T stands for right now, we do not know, but I'm going for binary terrestrials, as they both exist in the state of 1 or 0, alive or dead. That's just me, guys, I really don't know. Speculations! But whatever created the Death Stranding seemingly created two types of BTs. There's the one that we have seen being showcased in most of the trailers. The one that is coming with the black goo that are feral and sometimes even float in humanoid form, that follow and drag down Sam and his co-workers down to limbo. But with this latest trailer and the introduction of a character known as Mama, there seems to be a more kindred version, the ones that we're going to be calling spirits. As showcased when Mama makes an appearance, she uses one of the shoulder-mounted drones to communicate with one of the roaming spirits, and in another cutscene it seems like she actually delivers a baby, an ethereal one with the umbilical cord and all. So given that her name is Mama and she seems to be acting like some form of midwife between the ethereal plane and that of mankind, is this actually how it is that they are crafting or creating the BBs or bridge babies by infusing like, I don't know, fetuses with ghost souls so that they act like mediums? Oh my god, that is freaky as hell. I told you guys, this is turning into some weird shit. Okay, damn, I just blew my own mind. But the gist of it all is that Sam is going to be set on this mission to reconnect the world. deliver some packages, from which purpose we don't yet know, but in hope of actually solving the upcoming and current crisis. Now on his way he's going to be facing a bunch of enemies, both from the factions that are operating in this world and of course the BTs. So he's going to be requiring some help, and aside from the aforementioned characters, there are more that are connected to Bridges. Namely Léa Seydoux' character, Fragile or Fragile if you want to go with the French version, which sounds so much worse. But she has been showcased multiple times before and has been seen eating a cryptobite, a creature that looks similar to a tardigrade, or commonly known as the water bears, those who can survive in harsh cold and also the vacuum of space. So those seem to be able to reduce the effect of the timefall on the human body, so that's pretty neat. There's also Guillermo del Toro's character Deadman, whose first appearance was in the TGA trailer in 2016, and seemed to be one of the heads alongside Tommy Earl Jenkins' Die Hard Man. Like, that is... what an inventive name. Just wow. Another Danish face will be movie director Nicholas Winding Refn, known here as Hartman, a possible scientist for Bridges. He is, I believe, the only character so far that we have seen being pulled from limbo, as he's seen here in the footage chasing after some dead souls, but he's pulled out. Lastly, we have Lindsay Wagner's as Amelie, a mysterious woman who is said to have undertaken the similar task that was appointed to Sam before she disappeared. Although we have seen her in footages before, it's the first time that we actually see the same symptoms that other characters have been displaying, that of shedding tears, come to her. However, this time around, her tears are blood, which is quite freaky if you ask me, but this might be a hint that she of course is special, and her connection with Sam is definitely something deep. Was she a colleague, a lover? No one knows, but she was bloody bionic woman, so that's awesome. Okay, so that has been enough about the characters and the story. So let's talk about the gameplay, because if there's one thing that Death Stranding has been sold for, has been its mystique, because we really do not know much about this, and a lot has been speculated about what was the game going to be like. Is it an action game, or is it actually a stealth survivor game? So now with what we've seen revealed here is that the game might kind of play both sides, but there seems to be a bit more of an emphasis on stealth, especially since this is what has been covered the most. Death Stranding is the Amazon Prime extreme simulator that nobody asked for, as Sam Porter Bridges, the man who delivers, is going to be sending things and delivering them
In America.
Now, the purpose that this delivery serves is yet to be known, but the packages do range from simple utilities to bodies. Yes, this man will deliver everything you need. And although we have seen traversal being done by the use of vehicles, namely the car scene in the Game Awards trailer and the bike in this one, a lot of it is going to be done by just hiking and lots of walking. But a quick thing that has become apparent with the apparel of our character is that every container and apparatus that he carries are on full display. In other words, we shall not be expecting any weird inventory type of system like we've seen in a lot of open world RPGs, where you can carry 200 items before your carry weight exceeds the limit and you then start to just almost crawl. Because, for example, you have the rope that is attached to his suit, the one that he utilizes to cross over a ravine, the ladder that he deploys to climb a mountainside, even a gun that he pulls out in one of the previous trailers, are all stored in these containers or attached in one of the boxes that he carries. So this is most certainly going to be one of those games where you actually need to manage your inventory, and it is going to have a lot of significance to the gameplay. because not only do you need to manage the packages that you are meant to deliver, but you also have all your equipment that is around you, because I most certainly think that they are going to be setting a certain carry weight, as seen in some of the fight scenes where during the tussles with an opposite faction you can actually lose these packages and then you have to go back and take them, or in some of the previous trailers when he was floating down a stream or trying to cross a stream and suddenly lost some of his packages. So there are going to be a lot of exciting things about this. Think of something like Red Dead Redemption 2, where you actually could polish your gun, but this time around actually taking care of your things will have a lot more significance. Now, in the way of your deliveries are going to be set a lot of obstacles, mainly being that of the timefall mechanic. Whatever the rain touches ages rapidly, as seen from the birds that suddenly died when flying away from the storms. It kills the fauna but accelerates the life cycle of the flora. This may explain why the United States of America looks so very similar to Iceland at that time. Also, since I mentioned the storm, it seems like weather fluctuations are going to be important here, as we see that there are storms that are strong enough to pick up Sam, there are thick fog that are probably going to be hindering your traversal of terrain and also attracting the monsters or the BTs. And also the breathing itself is a danger, as we've seen in some footage that they probably can sense like the decibel changes that occurs in the air whenever you breathe air in or out of your mouth or nose. So yeah, a lot of minute details there just to make the game a lot more scary, but once again we need to pick that with a grain of salt because these are still speculations while they are still backed up by what I was saying. Those could just be, I don't know, setups. But we'll figure that out probably in E3 or once Kojima decides to reveal more. Now, sticking around with the weather for a little bit more, it has been revealed in this trailer that the timefall mechanic actually works as an alert of a sort, which is a connection that everybody should have made already. But yeah, thank you, Kojima. Well, what essentially happens is that whenever it rains, it is an indicator that the BTs are entering our realm. So rain acts like a medium, and I didn't mention that before about the character and like the land of the Duat having this black water, but imagine once again with my movie references something like the movie Constantine from 2005 with Keanu Reeves, where he has to put his feet into water in order to peer into hell. While there are no demons here, just demons, another type of hellish creature that you encounter down there are the BTs, and they seem to come in all type of forms, from the humanoid to the more bestial kind, and even the kaijus. So it seems like the feral one will actually attack you, while the humanoid one will try to drag you down to their realm, being Hades, where you are going to be set in war-torn settings, like for example World War I, which might sound bad, but it's probably the one place that is going to give you the most excitement in the game, as you are going to be allowed to enjoy a lot more of the shooting mechanics that it has to offer. And probably a bit more agility as you don't have to hide all the time. That is of course until boss Cliff here tries to track you down. Speaking of Cliff, there seems to be a relationship of him and the armies, as he's constantly seen controlling some ghoulish creatures that are depiction of soldiers all the time. And by the way, since we are talking about settings here, also previously we have seen that the soldiers that Cliff was commanding were wearing some Marine Corps-like uniforms or soldier attire, and in this trailer we see them wearing some World War I uniforms, although in the previous one they were actually time displaced, similar to that of World War II. The time displaced tanks, the time displaced apparel. Also in the trailer there's a depiction of him in a setting where he is setting fire to a lake. Now I'm not the history savvy that I used to be, but these types of depictions of flaming locations within the forest with military is usually utilized in settings such as Vietnam, so we might actually be set in the Vietnam War at some point, who knows. So surviving in Hades is important, as it is just a middle ground. It still allows you to go back to the real world, I assume. Now, if you die, however, it is of course not game over, as we have this whole, again, limbo mechanic where you can swim back to your body, especially if you have your dream catcher with you that will prevent you from being eaten by some aquatic monster in the sea of bodies. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff that Kojima Games has in store. Aside from that, rounding out our enemies, there seem to be 3 relevant factions within the game. There's the Bridges team being led by Deadman and Die Hardman, whose names I'm still baffled about. Cliff's ghoulish army, and himself of course, who seems to be more after the baby rather than Sam, as we've seen him chase after Guillermo del Toro. The Homo Demons, another militaristic faction led by Higgs, who just want to be left alone and do a lot of terrorist acts, and they are just a bunch of Egyptian cosplayers who have control over the dead, can summon Lovecraftian monsters and control the timefall. And the leader is pretty crazy. And also a correction, there seemed to be a 4th one with this guy dressed in yellow, with whose packages are wearing the name Karavik or something like that. Keravik. Is that like a weird play on the city Reykjavik, you know, the capital of Iceland? You know, Kojima did spend some time there in 2014, maybe to get some inspiration. Again, Death Stranding looks a lot like a setting in Iceland, I cannot avoid from seeing that. But this Keravik group seem to have the ability to track you down just as much as Higgs does. But they don't seem to be controlling the dead, instead they are utilizing similar technology as you, like some sort of pulse triangulation technology where if you steal a package of theirs, they will track you down. So that's pretty fun stuff. So folks, Death Stranding is something that I am super excited for, and it's not exactly because it is like some huge comeback from Kojima, because he's not been gone. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 5 was amazing, it was successful. Although Konami did screw him over and he came out as a martyr, he didn't go anywhere. He's still very much the same creator that has always been there. Now the game itself is supposed to be just like a huge, really giant FU to Konami for what they did, which is why I can sometimes see some similarities too. Again, I wanted to make that Metal Gear Survive joke, but I'm more intrigued about this game because it brings me back to the good old times where when you did or were hyped for a game, they didn't show you, I mean, you didn't know what to expect from it. Like, for example, nowadays, with the recent drama with Anthem and all that, you kind of knew what was going to happen when it came out. You got to play betas, you got this and that. It's a complete different thing when it comes to first and foremost single player experience, which is not that, so screw you EA for saying that kind of stuff, and subsequently other creators out there, but it still very much is there, and the fact that it is so mysterious is just so appealing. Like, I know kind of where he's trying to go with this, but still I don't, and this entire thing is pretty much what gets me excited for this. But guys, this has been me rambling or trying to talk a bit more in a concise manner about this game, which I kind of think that I get, but still don't. But if you enjoyed this video, of course, let me know by giving the video a like. If you didn't, I like some fair criticism, give it a dislike. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about Death Stranding, and if you have any recommendation whatsoever, let me know there as well. And stay tuned, as I am going to be doing some more theories about this in the future. And I see you guys next time. Bye.
I'll show you the real thing soon. I promise. The whole wide world will be yours to explore. You'll be able to go wherever you want. Even the moon.